we are going to be using a variable to write an equation. So the first thing I want to talk about in this section is what is an equation. So an equation is a math sentence that contains an equal sign, or the two parallel bars. So we have something on the left-hand side of that and something on the right-hand side. So we may be able to write an equation to help us solve a problem. We use a letter variable to represent what we do not know. If we're not sure what it is, that means that we need to hold its place in some way, shape, or form. And so we're going to use a variable to do that. So the first example we have here is Jean-Luc opened a package of 20 pencils. He gave out some pencils, and there were 6 pencils left. How many pencils did Jean-Luc give out? So my first thing that I like to do when I do this is I like to go through and highlight the important information in my question. Now, to do this, I do use an actual highlighter. If you don't have one, you can underline or sometimes even just take notes about the important things. So the things that are important here is that he opened a package of 20 pencils. So that's how many he starts with. He gave out some, but I don't know how many. And he had 6 pencils left. So those are the important pieces of information that it gives us, but we also need to know what are we looking for. And so in order to know that, we need to know what the question is. How many pencils did he give out? Now, when we are using variables, we always have to define the variable or explain what we're going to represent. So I'm going to have a let statement. So it just says let, and we can use any letter we like. Oftentimes we like to choose a letter that represents what we're talking about. So I'm going to use the letter P, and I'm going to say that that is the pencils given. So that's how many he gave away. So now I can create an equation. And so when I do that, I have a couple of different ways that I can do this. So I could say that 20 is equal to the number of pencils he gave out plus 6, because he has 6 left over. So the 6 plus whatever he gave away is going to give us that total of 20. We can also do a couple of other things. I know that the number of pencils that he gave out is equal to his total number of pencils minus 6. Another way I could write this is that 6 is what he has left over from 20 when he takes away the given amount of pencils. So there's lots of different ways that I can write this. Now, I'm not actually asking you to come up with an answer here, although one of these equations will give you the answer in the easiest way. So as you're going through, we're just looking to see, can you create some equations based on the information? The other thing that is important is that these are sentences and you can actually read them out loud if you know how. So 20 is equal to the number of pencils that was given away plus 6. So I have it written in math here. That's what I call a math sentence, but I can also translate that back to an English sentence. The number of pencils given out is equal to 20 minus the 6 he still has. And 6 is equal to the 20 pencils he started with subtracted the pencils that he gave out. So each of those can be worded back into an English sentence. In the second example there, Marie had 36 emails in her inbox. This is twice as many emails as she had last week. How many emails did Marie have last week? So we're going to go through and find those important pieces of information. So she had 36 emails. That's important. She also had twice as many emails as last week. And how many did she have last week? So I need to create that let statement and define my variable. So let E equal the number of emails last week. Then I need to figure out, so E is how many she had last week, and she has twice as many this week. So twice as many tells me that I am going to be multiplying by 2. So 2 times E, so 2 times the number of emails she had last week is equal to the 36 emails that she has this week. Now, one thing that we can do is this multiplication sign looks like a letter, and sometimes we can confuse that. So we can actually write this without the X. So when we take and we push these two things up against each other, the 2 and the E, and I always do this. When I push them up against each other like that, that means that we are going to be multiplying them together. So when they're pushed up against each other, that means multiplication. Okay. I often say mathematicians are lazy. We like to write with symbols, and sometimes we like to take the symbols out altogether. Another way that I could write this is that the number of emails last week is this week's number of emails divided by 2. So last week's emails is equal to this week's divided by 2. So I have a few questions there as practice for this. Give them a try. If you have any questions or you need additional help, please let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing your assignment.